Nelson Mandela once said, "It always seems impossible until it's done." Born on the 18th of July, 1918, in the small village of Mvezo, South Africa, Rolihlahla Mandela, later known as Nelson, was a beacon of hope and resilience from his earliest days. His journey began in the rolling hills and pastoral beauty of Mvezo, where traditions ran deep and the legacy of his ancestors was a constant presence. His thirst for knowledge led him to the University College of Fort Hare, a prestigious institution that molded many African leaders. However, his time there was cut short as he was expelled for joining a student protest. Even in his youth, Mandela was unafraid to challenge authority, to question the status quo, to fight for what he believed in. Young Mandela, full of potential, was just starting to perceive the injustices of his world. In the face of adversity, Mandela found his voice. As a young man, Nelson Mandela became deeply involved with the African National Congress, or ANC. This organization was the heartbeat of resistance against the brutal apartheid regime in South Africa. Mandela, with his fiery spirit and unwavering determination, quickly rose through the ranks to become a prominent figure within the ANC. His activism, however, was not without peril. The apartheid government deemed the ANC a threat, and in 1962, Mandela was arrested. Charged with sabotage and conspiracy to overthrow the government, he was sentenced to life imprisonment. But Mandela did not let this sentence break his spirit or silence his voice. Throughout his 27 years in prison, Mandela faced harsh conditions and brutal treatment. He was confined to a small cell with barely enough room to move. His days were filled with hard labor, and his nights were cold and lonely. But in these hardships, Mandela found strength. He used his time in prison to further his education, to write, and to continue his activism against apartheid. His words, written in letters and smuggled out of prison, reached the ears of the world. His unyielding commitment to the cause of freedom inspired millions around the globe. His voice became a beacon of hope for those who believed in equality and justice. Despite the harsh conditions, Mandela refused to be broken. He turned his prison cell into a classroom, a library, and a beacon of hope. He continued to fight for justice, even from behind bars. His steadfastness and resilience became an inspiration to people around the world. In prison, Mandela was not just a prisoner. He was a symbol of resistance, a beacon of hope, and a voice for the voiceless. He used his time behind bars to educate himself and others, to advocate for his people, and to plan for a future where all South Africans would be free. Even from within the confines of his cell, Mandela's voice echoed around the world. In 1990, after 27 long years, the world watched as Nelson Mandela walked free, a symbol of resilience and unwavering determination. His release, however, was not the end of his struggle. It marked the beginning of a new chapter in his life and in the history of South Africa. Despite the joy of his freedom, Mandela knew that the fight against apartheid was far from over. He continued to push for change, using his newfound freedom as a platform to amplify his message and rally his people. He became a beacon of hope, a voice for the silenced, and an embodiment of the dream for a free South Africa. The peaceful transition of power in South Africa in 1994 was largely due to Mandela's leadership and his unwavering commitment to democracy. He navigated through political tensions and societal divisions, helping to steer the country away from the precipice of civil war. In a historic moment that reverberated around the globe, Nelson Mandela was elected as the country's first black president, a testament to his leadership and the faith the people had in him. As president, Mandela didn't just rest on the laurels of his historic election. He worked tirelessly to reconcile a nation divided by decades of racial segregation. He introduced policies aimed at combating poverty and inequality, while also promoting racial reconciliation. He understood that for South Africa to truly be free, it needed to heal. His Truth and Reconciliation Commission was a significant step in this direction, providing a platform for individuals affected by apartheid to share their experiences and seek justice. Mandela's presidency was not just about political power, but about healing a nation and bringing people together. His leadership was steeped in a deep understanding of the human spirit and the power of forgiveness. He knew that for South Africa to move forward, it had to confront its past, and under his leadership, the country did just that. Under Mandela's leadership, South Africa began to heal. Mandela's impact went beyond his presidency. After stepping down from the presidency in 1999, Nelson Mandela could have easily retired to a life of quiet solitude. Yet this was far from the path he chose. Instead, Mandela dedicated his post-presidential life to combating societal issues that plagued not just South Africa, but the entire world. His primary focus was on HIV/AIDS, a disease that was wreaking havoc across the globe, especially in his home country. The Nelson Mandela Foundation, established in 1999, became a vehicle for his advocacy. Through this foundation, Mandela tirelessly campaigned for greater awareness, prevention, and treatment of HIV/AIDS. He was unflinching in his efforts, even when it meant challenging the very powers that be. In December of 2013, the world held its breath as news broke of Mandela's passing. The man who had fought so hard and given so much had finally laid down his arms. South Africa, and indeed the world, plunged into mourning. The loss was deeply felt, and it seemed as though a beacon of hope had been extinguished. Yet in the face of this overwhelming grief, the true measure of Mandela's legacy began to shine through. The man had passed, but the ideals he stood for, equality, justice, and the power of forgiveness, remained. His life and work had touched so many that his spirit continued to live on in the hearts and minds of people around the world. Today, Mandela's legacy continues to inspire. His fight against apartheid has become a symbol of resistance against all forms of oppression. His dedication to the cause of HIV/AIDS awareness has spurred ongoing efforts in medical research and public health advocacy. His belief in reconciliation and unity continues to guide nations towards peaceful resolutions of conflict. Mandela may have left us, but his legacy continues to inspire. His story serves as a testament to the power of one individual to effect change and the enduring impact of a life lived in service of others. It is a legacy that continues to resonate, offering hope and guidance to future generations. From a young boy in Mvezo to a global icon, Nelson Mandela's journey was extraordinary. Imagine this: a simple child born into a world of racial segregation, destined to become one of the most influential figures of the 20th century. Mandela's early years were marked by hardship and struggle. Born in a tiny village called Mvezo, he was the first in his family to attend school. As he grew older, he became acutely aware of the injustices and inequalities faced by his people under the apartheid regime. This awareness sparked a burning passion for justice that would shape the rest of his life. As a young man, Mandela dedicated his life to activism. He joined the African National Congress, where he fought tirelessly against the apartheid regime. His peaceful protests and tireless advocacy for equality earned him the wrath of the government, leading to his imprisonment. For 27 long years, Mandela was confined within the grim walls of Robben Island. But even in the face of such adversity, Mandela remained steadfast in his commitment to justice and equality. Then in 1990, the world watched as Nelson Mandela walked out of prison, a free man. His release marked the beginning of a new era for South Africa. 4 years later, Mandela achieved the unimaginable. He was elected as the first black president of South Africa. His presidency was marked by his efforts to heal the wounds of apartheid and foster a sense of unity within the country. But Mandela's influence extended far beyond his presidency. Even after his retirement from politics, he continued to inspire millions around the world with his message of forgiveness, reconciliation, and equality. He became a symbol of hope and resilience, a beacon of light in a world often darkened by hate and prejudice. And then, in 2013, the world mourned the loss of this extraordinary man. Nelson Mandela passed away, but his legacy lived on. His life and teachings continue to inspire and guide people around the world. His unwavering commitment to justice, his resilience in the face of adversity, and his capacity for forgiveness have left an indelible mark on humanity. Reflecting on Mandela's life, we see a man who refused to be defined by the circumstances of his birth. Instead, he chose to define himself through his actions, his courage, and his unwavering commitment to justice and equality. His life serves as a powerful reminder that one person can indeed make a difference, that the power of the human spirit can overcome even the most formidable obstacles. In the words of Mandela himself, the greatest glory in living lies not in never falling, but in rising every time we fall. This is the essence of Mandela's legacy, a testament to the power of resilience, the strength of the human spirit, and the enduring pursuit of justice. And it's a legacy that continues to inspire us all.